In this video, I'm going to be talking about all the trades I took for the last week, all the good trades, the bad trades, and everything in between. I'm going to be giving you all the lessons I learned and all the things I've been improving on as well. So if you're somebody who is just getting started with trading, or maybe you're looking for somebody who's talking about their trades over the last week and how you can improve as well, this might be the channel for you. So anyways, let's get into it. So if you don't know who I am, my name's Chris, and I run a channel called Trading with Chris, and I've been trading now since March of 2024. I got into trading because I've always wanted to do this. I've actually held a securities license and worked in financial services for 4.5 years and really liked it, took exams on it, and I always thought I wanted to start trading and get into that kind of stuff, but I just didn't have a mentor. And in 2024, I decided to bite the bullet and get into it, and found a few people online who were really talking about different strategies and how to trade and get started into this. So that's what this entire my entire channel is about: sharing the trades and documenting my journey and putting it all out there for you. So if you're somebody who's interested in getting into trading, this is definitely a channel to follow and become a part of and subscribe to. So let's get into it. Monday, July 20th. This was the start of the week, and these are the first couple of trades I took for the week. So I took my first trade on Tesla long, did an entry at 385.96, and I exited the trade at 384.71. Now, if you notice, my stop was at 384.71. So I actually had a lot of slippage on this trade. That's why my loss was at $48 and not right around $30. My target price was right around 388.22, and I took 26 shares on this trade. You don't have to take a lot of shares in these trades, to be honest, because these stocks do move a lot on average. You can move over $1, and my target typically is over $1 per share, so you can earn quite a bit on these trades. So for example, 26 shares, I should earn right around $2 to $3 per share, so making something right around $60 and having a $30 loss, following the 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, what I typically do. So the trade looks something like this. When I got in, it broke above pre-market highs. So one of the things I do when I get in these trades is I mark the pre-market high, and then I mark the pre-market low. That's what these two lines are right here. And then when the 9:30 bell rings, anything that breaks this line, as long as it looks good, I'm going to jump in and write it out to this point right here where I take the trade. So in the end, this trade just broke above and then broke right back below, stopped me out right here. I had the problem was this candle was moving probably pretty fast, is why I had a bad stop on this and ended up losing a lot. So more than I should normally. So that was why that happened. So all right, next trade, NVIDIA long. Again, tried the same trade. 206.76, exit at 206.9, and ended up stopping out about 6 cents after that. My target was 207.89, and I took 48 shares on this. Now the loss again was a lot more manageable, right around $30, not $48, so saving me about $18 in loss, making my average loss a lot smaller. So this trade looked again like a good trade. It started breaking above like this was going to be a good trade, and it came up. I mean, almost hit my target and then reversed and completely let it go. Now you might be thinking, why do you let the trade? Why didn't you get out of the trade at that point and just say it was good? And there's a reason for that, because I want to let every trade play out for what it is. I'm not going to say I know enough about the market that, oh, it's definitely going to do that, because I don't, and winning a trade is kind of like flipping a coin, to be honest, because you just don't know. I mean, there's factors that can play into it, but one of the reasons I knew that this particular trade was not going to make it is because when it came back below, it struggled to get above this upper VWAP band. And every time it did, it just rejected right off the top of it, and then eventually stopped me out for the trade. And that's how I knew that particular trade. Another reason was because when I look at my volume here, it was a declining green volume, which meant less buying, less people were buying into these trades, and it just wasn't going to work. So the buyers were definitely not there on this trade, and we couldn't get above that upper VWAP band. So that was two reasons why that happened in that particular trade. So all right, this trade was much calmer. I ended up being very calm on this trade. I let it go. The trade lost, but the execution won. And that's the most important thing. Professional traders judge themselves by execution first, not by the winners and the losers that they have. They judge themselves, did they follow the execution the correct way? And that's the most important thing here. Are we executing and following the rules every single time? Because they know that even excellent setups lose a meaningful percentage of the time I want to adopt one sentence, and this is ChatGPT telling me, by the way, that's why it's written the way it is. Your stop execution mantra is the stop protects my account, not my ego, and that's so important. You want to protect your account, so you gotta stop out when you hit your stops. You can't let it go. You can't go on hope or anything like that. So overall, the psychology report card for Tuesday. This day was a 9 out of 10 overall. Execution, stop discipline wasn't quite there on Tesla, but overall it was good. So, all right, jumping into Tuesday, July 21st, we had trade one, NVIDIA long, was an entry at 207.47, exit at 297. And you'll notice that my winner was only right around $30. And there was a big reason for this. When I got into this trade here, I set up the sizing for it wrong. I actually set a 0.4 instead of a 0.3%. I usually take a 0.3% risk on each trade. That means I'll have about, in a $10,000 account, roughly $30 of loss. And if I have a winner, it'll be double that. It'll be a $60 win. So that's typically how my trades are set up. And I like that because I can be a little more methodical with it. I can let the trade just play out. I don't have to sit there and kind of hope and guess. I don't like doing that kind of stuff because in most cases, if you just sit there and hope and guess, you're probably going to lose in most cases. So, all right. So again, I set up the trade wrong. It was a 0.14% instead of a 0.3. So I'm working on like doing a pre-entry checklist here and just make sure I have the correct ticker, the correct direction, the correct share size, correct stop distance. Correct target is 2 to 1, and making sure I know my hotkeys are correct and everything. And on Webull, I only really have two hotkeys. I have a buy and a sell, and that's it. And it's 100% buy on a $10,000 account and a 100% sell. So I'm not trying to like put multiple hotkeys on my account and try to do sizing in and all that kind of stuff. I'm not doing that. I'm just getting in and I'm getting out, and that's all I need in the beginning. So. Trade two was Tesla. This was a mistake trade. I jumped in a trade going short instead of long and ended up stopping out immediately for a $7.63 trade. Trade three was a Tesla long. Again, this was another loss. You can see that here. I got in, it just got real close, but then it reversed and it actually stopped me out right here. Now this is a little discretionary because it came right to my stop, and that's always a little bit of a gray area because it's like, do you get out immediately or do you wait till it breaks that stop? And in this case, I just stopped out right away. And the reason I did was because I was seeing red volume, a lot of red volume here and not as much green volume, declining green volume. So I just felt like the trade was going to reverse anyway. So I just got out. Now it did end up working out, but by that point, I just felt like it was pretty choppy and I didn't like what the direction we were really going through. So I passed on that trade completely, just made that decision there. So review, even though this trade was long, I still followed my rules. This trade did eventually work, but I passed on the second trade. I kept my losses small overall. And then the fourth trade, I took a trade on SpaceX. And SpaceX, this was a return to value long. My entry is at 120.90. My target was 121.64. Ended up exiting right at break, but then it pulled back, got 4 cents less. That's why it was right around 60.74, but still nonetheless a great trade. Stop was about at 120.54. So and you can see that this trade just really worked well. If you'll notice on this trade right here, the reason I took it, number one, these two bottoming tails were a clear sign to me that buyers were really stepping in here. Even though the volume didn't show that, I kind of felt like this trade was going to work. And my target was all the way up to VWAP. So I thought that this is a pretty solid trade right here. Ended up taking it, and overall was a good trade. So like that. Review, I entered the trade calm, held till take profit, and I let the trade do its thing and didn't second guess myself. So overall on that day, I faced 3 issues. One was incorrect risk sizing, doing that 0.14 instead of the 0.3. My issue 2 was the wrong hotkeys. I did that twice over the week actually, but on this day I did do it and it cost me a few dollars, but no big deal. And then I had slippage on getting out of some of these trades. You know, some people like to set stops right at their take profit and their stop loss. I don't like to do that because of people who like to stop hunt and things like that. And some people claim that that's not a thing. I still swear it is. So I don't like to do those things, and I like to get out as soon as possible. So All right, psychological report card here for Tuesday was a 10 out of 10 overall, but still I had some sizing errors and some hotkey mistakes, but overall, psychologically, nothing really of an issue. But so let's get into Wednesday now, July 22nd, 2026. I took 5 trades and had 5 losses. This is my worst day of the entire week right here. I took 5 trades, probably shouldn't have taken 5 trades, but I did here. And there was some good things that came out of this. You might be looking at this. This is a $120 loss, Chris. What? There's nothing good on this, but I'll show you what was good about these trades here in just a second. So I took a SpaceX long. I took one right here. It stopped out. I took a second trade, stopped out. A third trade. I think I did 4 trades. I think, and actually, let me step back here. This first trade here was actually a mistake here. This trade right here was, again, a hotkey issue I had, and I ended up just getting out of the trade right away, but I still lost an additional. So I took 3 additional trades after that on SpaceX, lost on all 3 of them. And even though it got super close, I ended up losing out on this. So not so good. So, but losing out. So what was the good thing here? Overall, each one of these trades were very small. I kept them all small, $30 or less. In fact, my average, I think, on all 5 of these trades, $24 on an average loss. So we're keeping our risk minimal here. Even though I took 5 trades, it wasn't like $100 loss per each one. It was $24 to $25 of average risk loss per each trade. So much better, much more controlled. Even though we had a little bit of a spiral because of this. It was so choppy. And then I took that trade on Tesla. Didn't work out. And reason I took that trade was I saw these bottoming tails right here and thought this is going to be a really solid trade because we got bottoming tails. And that usually tells me that buyers are stepping in, but although when you look at the volume, they didn't really step in. You know, if it had been more close to this first volume bar, then we would have had something probably, but it just didn't. And we ended up reversing on that and stopping out. So all right, let's get into Thursday, the 23rd of July. So overall, this trade was a 1 trade day, which is the way I like to keep it, a 1 trade day. I took Tesla break a pre-market low at 339. Now, if you don't know, Tesla has just been on this rampage of just going down. It's probably down, I don't know, 15 or 20% since the last week or so, or since the beginning of the month. I mean, they're really losing. In fact, when I show you tomorrow, Friday's trades, they're even lower than this yet. So overall, Tesla break a pre-market low, made $56. This is a pretty clean trade. I got in right here and boom. Easy trade, just right through. And I love that when that happens because it's just a simple break. And the only problem with this trade was I got a lot of slippage. This was my break of pre-market low right here. And then here's where I got in at. So if you look at that, I got in at 339. My break was at 340.65. So I was on $1.65 lower when I got in. So that was a little bit risky. But if it would have come up to my stop loss, I would have got out right away. So, all right. So then we have Friday, the July 24th, 2026. Trade 1, Tesla break a pre-market low again. Entry at 319.48, exited 317.48. Ended up losing $57.16 on this trade. Why did that happen? Well, that happened because I moved back to a 14-day trial on Trade the Pool. Why I decided to do that on Friday, I think it was fine doing it, but I had to get used to all the technical stuff. And, you know, when you're working with one trading platform and going to another, there's little differences. And that's the reason. What happened is when I executed to get out of the trade, I had to hit a confirmation. Yes. So I had not only sell, but I had to hit the button for the confirmation. And by that point, I lost even more. That's why I lost so much on that particular trade. Kind of sucks that I did that, but it is what it is. And now I know I changed that setting so we don't have that issue anymore. And I moved on from that. And then I also had a Tesla, my second trade, I was a break a pre-market low again at 318.25. I got a better fill. Exited at 320.06 and my stop was at 319.23 and 316.32 for the target. Overall, yeah, it was a winning trade. So Good setup, unexpected trade to pool confirmation dialogues. That was trade one, execution and identified platform issues. Took care of that. And two was stayed calm, didn't panic after the first trade and continued trading your setup instead of trying to win back money. And that's true. I'm always trying to judge each trade not based on the last trade. When you do that, that starts to hinder each additional trade that you take. So you want to just take each trade and take it for what that trade is and do it as that. So instead of getting into these mental issues. And overall, my mental issues have gotten really good, which brings me to my improvements over the week. Number one, I'm holding winners to target price. I'm staying calm. I'm not letting my emotions get to the best of me when things aren't even working or anything like that. I'm just getting through those as quickly as possible, and then exiting the trade at my stop loss. So just getting in, getting out, hitting my target, hitting my stop loss. And that's really, I'm only letting those two things happen. I'm letting it hit the target, or I'm getting out at my stop. And overall, I am taking less trades. I'm taking 1, 2, and except for that couple of days, I had one where I took 4 and one where I took 5. But overall, the rest of those days, 1 to 2 trades. That was it. That was all I took there. So, all right. And then issues over the week. I'm not taking high quality setups. I need to get better at taking higher quality and figuring out what is a higher quality setup. And that might require putting more rules in place or stuff like that to make sure I hit those trades correctly. Hitting the wrong hotkeys, sizing into trades wrong, slippage on my exits, which you can't do a whole lot about, but you can try to hit those as close as possible. And then dealing with the new trading platform over at Trade the Pool. So those are all my issues for the week. And that was all the trades I took for the entire week. So let's go ahead now jump into my trading journal real quick. Okay, so on my trading journal here, let's just jump in real quick. Overall for the month, took from the 20th, winning trades, I had a total of $206.71. But when we add up all my losing trades over the month, over the week, last week, I had $286.47. So yes, I did have a losing week overall. I think this is correct. $79.77 overall is what I lost for the week. So I'm down this week. I had a red week, not a big deal, and we move on. Overall, I still had some good things that happened as a result. Even though I wasn't picking the best setups to be a part of, it still worked out pretty good. And then when I look at these results overall, my average green trade is at 52.57, which is great. I want to be close to 60, so it could be a little bit higher than this. And my average losing trade is at 38.28. So if I keep this track record going up right here, a 1 to 2 to 1 is great, but this is a 1.37 to 1. So earning $1.37 to every $1 of loss, that's what we're kind of looking at here. And the reason I want to keep that 2 to 1 risk reward ratio is because I can have a bad trade consistency, a trade win percentage, and I could still make money as a result of that, even if I'm not over that 50% mark. But you have to be aiming for a 2 to 1 risk reward ratio. I'm actually going to be putting a video together on that, talking a little bit how I do that, how I size my trades, how to do it, and why it works this way, and why you should be doing it this way too. So definitely want to be on the lookout for that video. It'll be in the next week or so. I'm going to be doing that video as well. So definitely check that one out. So overall, that was everything there. So jumping into my trading stuff here. I took these trades on Monday overall because I wanted to show you what this platform, how it works and stuff like that. So overall, I earned 284 total on that day. I had a loss and I won it back. Not a big deal. When you follow the rules of risk reward, yeah, it was a 1 to 1 risk reward that day. But my success ratio is a 50% there. And with Trade to Pool, you have to average a 50% success ratio for it to count. I think it is a little bit high. I wish it was a little bit less, like 40% or something like that. It would definitely help in my situation. But overall, 284 is what I had made, $2.84. So it's not a big winner or anything like that. But they do give you all your stats and everything about the trades and everything like that. So if you find this useful and you want to sign up to be part of Trade the Pool, definitely do it. I got a link down in the description so you can sign up, check it out, do the 14-day free trial, and become a member of this. So definitely worth it. All right, and then overall, if you want, subscribe to my channel, Trading with Chris, and you can check out all the videos I've been putting out lately. Been talking about everything I'm doing here, and I put out at least a video a week. I want to start doing more if I can, but it's been tough to do that, but hopefully I can start doing that. I want to put more, maybe one educational type video out and then one reviewing my trades for the week, so maybe a couple of videos a week. If you find this helpful and you like what you're seeing here, definitely subscribe and become part of the community. I'd love to have you here. See you in the next video.